Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Hi there, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hersh, and your host, Avi Meyers.
Thank you, Marty. Welcome to the Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hersh, my entire technical crew, and myself. Dial us up on the World Wide Web at www.ntnm.org, where I stopped counting, but actually that's not quite true, but the last I looked, like 65 or 70,000 of you have been watching shows. I don't know, don't you have something better to do? But I do appreciate it and thank you. And I do want to say that some of our best watched shows are, of course, have been in conjunction with the police department. And one of the things I'm really looking to do in the future is that I want to dig up some of the old shows we did with some of the with people like Commander Byrne and Commander Boggs, and recycle them and put them on YouTube so people can get the benefit of them also.
Great.
And after our third most watched show, the star of which is our present guest, who is the Deputy Chief of Patrol for Area 3, which is basically 4 separate police districts, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and I'm talking about a longtime neighborhood person, Deputy Chief Bruce Rottner.
How are you, Avi?
Very good, thank you. And first of all, so nice of you to be here. I was going to start calling you Commander, then I was going to go to Captain, then Sergeant. No, Deputy Chief.
How about
because
Bruce?
You've been
Bruce is fine too. Yeah, kind of feel like Steve Martin on Saturday Night Live. How many times you appear on a show. So.
And by the way, you're always welcome. And
thank you.
Our third most watched show ever is, and I still think it's one of our best shows ever, is when we did National Night Out about 3 years ago. And basically from the on-street roll call over in Edgewater, right, over to Cesar and the Mexican Festival, right, and all that, and all the different places along. I just think it was one of the better shows.
That was a great night.
Yeah.
Great night.
It really was. By the way, I do want to mention also that Sonny Hersh, is our entire technical crew, is the chairman of the District Advisory Committee for the 24th District, who has a website, caps24.org. This is probably a good time to plug community policing a little bit.
Absolutely.
And, you can find out all the meetings for Rogers Park, West Rogers Park, and a little bit of Edgewater by going to caps24.org. Click on the respective beat. There's tons more information there. Let me emphasize how important it is, whether you're in our neighborhood or another neighborhood, to go to the CAPS meetings, to meet the officers that patrol your beat on a regular basis, the people that are driving those streets looking for the bad guys. They're there at those meetings, and those are the people you want to talk to face to face. Now, the phone is a good thing, too. If you see a problem, you definitely got to call 911. But face to face, is the way to do it. Message boards, not a big fan of. The police don't read them. Good place to go. You want to meet some people on the web? You could go to JDate also. So, listen, if that's the message board you like, go to whatever. So, but you know what? Let's talk about community policing a little bit. Of course, you were the community policing sergeant for a number of years, and not to mention the right arm, the backbone, and probably the left arm too of several of the commanders who really, to this day, one of my favorite commanders of all time, Tom Byrne. He if he wants to come on the show, he wants to make sure you're there too. He just enjoys your company, and he's used to you helping him out.
Yeah, Tom is not only a great commander, but a great friend and mentor to me. And as you know, he's commissioner of CDOT now for the city.
Which gives me confidence we might get some of these potholes etched.
Yeah.
Because he is a doer.
Absolutely. And Tom kind of revamped all of CDOT. He used a lot of techniques he used in the police department to manage accountability and things like that, things that the mayor really wants to see. So Tom's done a great job, but as a police officer, he was just phenomenal, great leader for us.
No question about it. But right now, in talking about leadership roles, deputy chief, that's a nice place to be. Now, that's Belmont and Western is where the area 3 is.
The area 3. The city's actually divided into 6 police areas 1 through 5, and then what they call the Central Control Group, which is the 1st and 18th district, and encompasses all of the downtown area. And especially since 2001, a lot of emphasis has been put on the downtown area with its large commercial buildings, with its entertainment venues. So the department felt that it was worthy of becoming an area in itself with its own deputy chief. The Area 3 takes in the 4 districts, the 19th, the 20th, the 23rd district, and the 24th district. So basically we have responsibility from everything from Fullerton north to the city limits, and from the lakefront on the east to the river on the west. That's Area 3. Areas are also where detectives work out of. We don't have, contrary to popular belief, detectives don't work out of the district stations. They all work out of the area. Of course, they respond to things in the districts in their area. So, we have other specialized units working out of the area. It's a fairly big building. It's a 2-level building, a huge parking lot. The courts, Branch 29, Misdemeanor Court, and Branch 42, Felony Court, are also over at the area.
Yeah, I've been as sunny as occasionally, but I should probably do it more often. Drag me over to Court Watch, which is a really good thing to.
Yeah, court advocacy, and Sonny just does a fantastic job with court advocacy, and these are really people who are really valuable to us, who go and follow these cases. They don't get paid for it. They're all volunteers, and and they really make an impact. I mean, a judge sees 10 or 15 people from the community coming in who are interested in the case. That judge thinks about what decision he or she may make about that offender.
And of course, you can go to caps24.org, and even if you're not in an area, Sonny can guide you to court advocacy in the area of your choice.
Absolutely.
And that's an important thing. Area 3, how long has there been in Area 3?
Well, many years ago it was called Area 6. Area 3 was actually on the south side, on Damon Avenue. So they changed it some years ago, back in the late 70s. Area 3, they consolidated, they actually eliminated one area. But again, now that we have the Central Control Group, we're basically back to 6 areas. But, for administrative purposes, for supervision purposes, it's divided up that way, and it's worked very well for us.
And you've got some great people there, too. One thing I'll say is that people I've been working with for years and years, I mean, I miss them, but, they're not that far away. I mean, people like Lieutenant Holman and Sergeant Wellbill and Officer Steve Cohn and Hank Jacob. I mean, these are great people you've got working for you.
Yeah, I kind of raided the 24th District, and where I was commander for 3 years, and these people are, not only friends of mine personally and longtime colleagues, but they're proven police officers. They're just outstanding at their jobs. Don Holman is our area CAPS lieutenant. He's responsible for all CAPS initiatives within the area for all 4 districts, of monitoring them, of helping them, of getting resources for them. Dave Wellbill is my administrative sergeant. Dave and I have been friends, and he's probably my closest friend for many, many years, but has a background in intelligence, has a background in civil rights, has been a sergeant for 10 years. Very veteran, experienced
He's also
officer.
won the highest award the department has to offer.
He won the Medal of Valor. He earned it in 2005 based on a terrible incident on the east end of the district where he actually had to kill an offender who had just murdered his wife and severely injured his son. And he and Leo Ivory, a police officer here in the 24th District, apprehended it. Unfortunately, it wound up with the offender being shot by Sergeant Wellbill. But they both risked their lives, put their lives right out there on the line. And he and Officer Ivory both earned the Medal of Valor for that.
And by the way, Officer Ivory, of course, was a 2412 beat officer.
Yes, he was.
Which is my beat.
Yes, he is.
And Don Holman was actually my CAPS sergeant.
Right.
I mean, I was a very lucky guy to have all these good people.
Yeah, these are really first-rate people.
And all these people have been on the show.
Yeah, right. And, I know.
But who hasn't been on? Well, don't ask him to either. As a matter of fact, Hank Jacob was on the show once upon a time. That was not.
Yeah, Hank's the type of guy, and you're talking about Hank Jacob and his partner Steve Cohn, who
2 of the great guys.
Yeah, they're 2 guys I actually brought into community policing in 1993 when we started CAPS. As you know, we were a prototype district for CAPS up here, and we were allowed to have 2 night officers, and I really needed 2 officers who the other officers respected. Steve and Hank had been longtime tactical officers, beat officers, response officers, and just 2 wonderful police officers. And my goal was to bring in 2 officers that the other officers would feel comfortable with attending meetings with, I brought them in '93, and they never left. I mean, they've been to literally hundreds and hundreds of beat meetings. And when I was able to bring 2 officers over to the area, I wanted 2 officers with experience who would give me a fair shake going to these meetings, tell me not only the good things, but the bad things going on at all the meetings within the area. So they go to every beat meeting within Area 3. And then probably sometime next month, we'll sit down. They make very detailed notes on every meeting, what's working, what's not working, and we'll evaluate it, and we'll come up with perhaps some new strategies for some beats which may be not quite as strong as other beats in terms of attendance or problem solving or things like that.
You know, that's an interesting point. One of the things I've been doing a lot of thought about that, because it might beat me. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you, but 2412, I was asked, I think in 1994, if I would temporarily take over 2412 for a couple of months until they could find a replacement.
Right, 15 years later.
Here. Yeah, 15 years later, and I actually had to win an election this time too. And which I didn't like the election part. That kind of, well, I won't get into that. But you know, I'm finding the same people at the meetings now. And I've been thinking, what is it that I can do, or what can be done? I shouldn't say just me, because you know the whole thing with camps, it's a partnership.
Sure.
And I'm actually the police are the big part of the partnership. I feel my job is to help the police in whatever way I can.
Well, you know,
I get the same salary either way.
Yeah,
it's a free job.
yeah. I mean, the basic tenet of camps, you know, it's very simple. It's not brain surgery. I mean, it's the police, it's the residents, and it's city services all working together. We tell our officers, and you know, we tell them right up front, you can't solve every problem on your beat. It's not practical, it's not realistic. Some of these problems can be solved by you working with citizens in conjunction with them, and then bringing city services in to kind of, you know, clean up, you know, the things that you're doing. You know, but we have to take citizens to task, residents to task. I mean, you know, the days of people telling the police, well, I've got this problem, here it is, and you do something about it, those days are over with, you know. We just don't have the resources anymore to you know, delegate police officers to quality of life issues on a daily basis. When citizens get involved in their own communities, you know, it works very, very well. I mean, study after study has shown when citizens actively get involved in crime prevention, crime goes down. And you know, this isn't something just in Chicago. This is all over the United States. So we knew it would work. It works better in some areas than it does in others. But even some of the worst areas of the city, community policing works very, very well at solving, especially a lot of the quality of life issues.
No, there's no question about it that the participation helps. And when I first started going to the meetings, and just as a regular person going to the meetings, we were talking about much more serious problems than we deal with now. Even though some people could point at the neighborhood and say, okay, it's a changing neighborhood. Maybe the demographics in some ways aren't as good as they used to be. But on a crime basis, we have less crime.
Yeah, and you know, people always relate change to it's getting bad and it's changing, you know. It's just different than it was. I mean, as you know and you've mentioned, I grew up in this neighborhood. I was just driving down Devon Avenue today, as a matter of fact, with Sergeant Welble. I mean, there's not one store there today that was there in the 50s and 60s when I grew up there, you know. And that's changed. The point is, though, Devon Avenue is still a vibrant, economically solid street. There's many other streets in this city, as you're aware, where businesses closed, nothing ever came back, and they're all shuttered up. Devon was just replaced by different people, that's all. You know, and that's what adds to the diversity of our community.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, there's no question, and in a lot of ways it's good. And by the way, next week we've got Amy Zander on talking about all the new different cleanup programs. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention also that Monday, June 15th, is the 4th annual Tournament of Heroes softball game between the Westridge firefighters and the 24th District Chicago Police Department. We're 0-3, and I want to make that 1-3 at least this year. That'd be great. Of course, you were times throughout the first pitch.
Well, hopefully some Brown will be better by that time, and he can bring on a few ringers.
Well, by the way, let's also mention that Monday, June 15th is Billy Williams' 71st birthday, my favorite Cub of all time. Yeah, Whistler, terrific. Alabama. Hey, I love the guy.
Terrific.
I was even there Billy Williams Day. I was even an usher at Wrigley Field in high school. That was my dream job.
There you go.
But anyway, that game is at Dillon's. 5:30 gates open, 6:30. the game starts, and you can call Amy at the chamber at 773-743-6022. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that game. And of course, all the money goes to, well, you should go to me, but no, it doesn't. It goes to a good cause.
Yeah, it really does. And I know every year the kids from Misericordia have come out and sung the Star Spangled Banner, and they're just great people at Misericordia.
Yeah, Bob Erlenbaum,
right,
Misericordia Heart Singers. Yes,
great guy.
Definitely.
And so if you can come out, that would be really great.
It really is, and just a fun day overall.
Absolutely.
Or a fun night. And besides, Dillon's is a great stadium to go see stuff in.
Yes, it is.
But getting back, of course, to community policing, one of the things I've noticed is that I'm getting the same people. Now, I'm getting a steady crowd of people.
Sure.
And for a peaceful neighborhood, it's not a bad number of people, but I'm seeing the same faces over and over and over. And, you know, some of this stuff I should probably ask you off the air, but I've thought about things like, well, you've also got a situation where, of course, the city's hurting money-wise. I mean, anytime I've got a public official, and, you know, I film 3 shows in a day, Alderman Stone's telling me how there's not money for potholes and problems with sinkholes and other problems. And, you know, next week we've got County Board President Stroger on talking about other budgetary problems. And, of course, the police have also been hit.
Sure.
I mean, it'd be nice if there were more officers right now, which, of course, you don't have the manpower.
Sure.
There's not enough budget numbers to make up for other people. Certain things had to be cut, including, in part, you know, we no longer have all 3 shifts at the CAPS meetings. So, you know, people can talk to the second shift officers, which is 3 to 11, which is good. And that's when a lot of the activity happens.
Right.
But let me ask you, is it an idea to maybe switch 1 or 2 CAPS meetings to like a morning time to...
You know, there's a lot of different things, Avi, and this isn't just a concern to the 24th District. This is a citywide concern. Attendance at meetings. We're not judged by how many people we have at CAPS meetings. They don't say, Rottner, you're doing a terrible job because you only had 300 people in the area. they don't do that. You know, they're concerned because they want to get more people involved, because they feel that not enough people know the capabilities of CAPS and what it can do and how it can be a positive impact on their community. In the 23rd District, for example, at Aston and Halstead, they've had several very successful midnight CAPS meetings.
I was going to ask about that too.
They've had midnight CAPS meetings. People have had Sunday morning at 9 o'clock CAPS meetings. You know, and everything is based or geared to the communities that you're in. Now, in this community on 2412, which has a large Orthodox Jewish population, probably a Saturday morning meeting wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't work at all.
But a Sunday morning meeting might, you know. So we can be as flexible as the community can be, you know. Yeah. People send CAPS flyers out with pizza deliveries. So every time they get a pizza, they say there's a CAPS flyer. Now, even if you get 4 or 5 people who come because of that, you know, and businesses are very willing to get involved in CAPS and do things like that, you know.
I never thought of it. That's a really good idea.
And you know, when you go on the police department website, you know, chicagopolice.org, you can actually link to different CAPS organizations and see what they're doing and best practices and things like that. And that's what we really encourage people to do, you know. I mean, there's a myriad of things that can be done to increase attendance. Most of CAPS people are obviously, as I said before, are volunteers. Nobody gets paid. You don't get paid to be a facilitator. You do this because it's the right thing to do. It's like Sonny, you know, schlepping down to court, you know, every week the way he does, you know.
And I want to give Ed Smith credit too, as long as
absolutely. Ed Smith has been probably our real rock there. Ed Smith.
Oh, and who's the other guy that helps out from the East End? Rick Jones. I want to mention him also.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a bunch of people, and you mentioned some really good people that have done this for a long time. But obviously, again, you guys don't get paid for it. You know, you do it because it's the right thing to do. You know, and that's what we really depend on, is people that do things because it's the right thing to do. If we didn't have you, we couldn't operate the way we do. And I sincerely mean that, and I really believe it, you know. So again, it's a true partnership between the police and the public. And CAPS is only 16 years old. You know, it didn't start till 93. It's taken us a while to get our own officers on board, you know, but a lot of officers have really stepped up to the plate and embraced this philosophy and found out, you know, hey, you know, people that we're serving can really help us too. You know, we don't have to solve everything ourselves. You know, we can work with them and make things better.
One of the things I really see, and I've been involved with the police a long time, and enough, well, other than being behind bars, but Tom Dart has offered, the sheriff has offered to give me a tour of Cook County Jail, but he just didn't say which side of the bars.
Yeah, right, yeah. Or when he's going to let you out, right?
Yeah, and by the way, one plug I got to put in, I'm sorry. One thing Tom Dart did that was it was very nice of him. It really surprised the heck out of me. Is he actually nominated me for the Community Outreach Award from the Illinois State Crime Commission?
That's very nice.
And they called me and they actually are giving me the award.
Terrific.
So yeah, I'll show you the invitation afterwards.
Oh, terrific, great.
But anyway, that was very nice of him, and thank you. I want to thank Sheriff Dart very much. That's shocked the heck out of me. But I was covering police beats. I was covering the Old Town Hall district for a neighborhood newspaper. In Lakeview, as early as 1972, I've covered the old 20th district. I've covered other things too. I even used to cover 26th and Cal for the Daily Defender for a short period of time. What I have seen is the community and police were much more apart. I mean, the community policing has really taken the onus off. There's a lot more friendliness going on, and there's a breaking of barriers in terms of. All of a sudden, the other side aren't the boogeymen.
Right.
They're not as awful as they used to be. There's more friendship, more cooperation.
Well, I think you see that for several reasons. I mean, number one, of course, community policing has had a huge impact on that, of letting people see the officers who are actually protecting their homes and families and seeing them on a monthly basis. Secondly, I think it's the nature of the person coming on the police department. You're seeing many more young officers who actually grew up in the neighborhoods that they're now patrolling, When I started back in 1972, probably 70% of the city's north side policemen lived on the far northwest side, and the south side policemen lived on the southwest side. Now you're seeing a lot of these kids coming from all over the city and remaining and living those, So basically, they're working with their neighbors, people they grew up with, and things like that, and so that breaks down those walls as well. Everything's an evolution. Everything evolves, We're doing things today we would have never done 30 years ago, and a lot of those things are good things. And there's things that, bring a stability to a community that don't polarize police and community people and bring them closer together. We know there's people that are never going to like the police, but there's people that don't like lawyers or doctors or television people. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Oh, I've got my hate club.
Yeah. So and we realize that. But the vast majority of people, and this is what I always tell my young police officers, the vast majority of people like the police. They like the police. Yeah. They depend on the police. So, and I think policemen, really are starting to believe that. They understand that. It's not us versus them. Just because we wear a uniform or we carry a gun, I think that we are accepted in these communities, and that's a great thing.
No, I don't think there's any question about it. One of the things, too, that's new this year, and it's too early to even know how it's working or not, and I assume this is in all the districts, is in 24 now right now we have, as opposed to each individual beat having a sector sergeant, there's one sergeant for everybody.
Yeah, that started some months ago. We now have a beat team sergeant, just one beat team sergeant, and that was to create some continuity. The old way we did it, having a different sergeant for every beat, wasn't a terrible idea. But that sergeant would be transferred. He or she would go on furlough. They would get sick. We'd have to fill them. So there was no continuity. This way, we have one sergeant in every district who goes to every beat meeting, who translates a lot of the things that may have happened on the first watch or the third watch or the second watch. The midnight shift or the day shift to the officers. On those shifts, because those officers, as you mentioned earlier, don't attend the beat meetings anymore because of budgetary constraints. But so the communication is constantly there. So each district now has two, in essence, community policing officers, one on days and then the one on nights who does all the beat meetings and keeps, the communication flowing.
So there would be Sergeant Cassidy for us during the day.
Sergeant Cassidy is the day, right, and then Sergeant John Delgado is the night.
Right. Hi, John. Hi, Allison.
And they both do just a tremendous job, and I've known both of them personally for a long time, and again, we let every commander select the sergeants they wanted in there. I don't tell anyone put anybody any place, and in the whole area they all selected just really quality sergeants to fill these jobs, people with good communicative skills, people that understood our vision and could see the big picture, and that's really something that helps us a great deal.
Yeah, one of the things that I actually learned from Steve Cohen, who I still am in contact with, is that you guys are, a lot of it is supervisory, but you're not telling them what to do. There's autonomy within the individual districts.
Yeah, I mean, in my role basically is to support my commanders. I live or die by having good commanders, and I happen to have 4 just outstanding commanders in Area 3. I don't micromanage them. I don't tell them what to do. Again, my job is to give them the help they need, to try and get them the resources they need so they can manage their districts. If they have a problem, very simply, for example, something happens down in the 23rd District in the nights. They have a gang problem or something. I have resources. I have actually 2 what we call saturation teams, which are comprised of 8 officers and a sergeant. I can move one of them right to the 23rd District and tell them to stay there for the night or 2 nights. That's 8 extra police officers and a sergeant they're getting.
That's a lot.
We have an area gun team that strictly looks for guns and narcotics. They do a lot of warrants. They work basically in plain clothes, but I can use them for that. In Area 3, we have Wrigley Field, which is really a big, big thing. And then you have the entertainment venues on Clark Street, Halstead Street.
That's a very popular area.
Extremely popular, and we have a lot of different strategies we're using to keep those. And thank God most people are good and decent and honest. They go out and have a good time and they're responsible. There's always some knuckleheads somewhere, but like I say, our issues in Area 3 are much more quality of life issues than they are actual crime issues. But we have a lot of crime issues, and those are some of the things that we're working on right now. We're working right now on our summer strategies. In fact, we have most of them in place already. The lakefront districts, the 20th, 24th district, the 20th, and the 23rd, each get an additional 11 officers for bicycle patrol. And
wow.
They'll be on bicycles, and we've done this for the last number of years, and they'll be starting at the end of this month. So that's 11 additional people, and we use them primarily on the lakefront, but we also use them for problems where we feel bikes would be better served. So we do a lot of different things with the people that we have.
There's no question, and hopefully this all sounds good and it'll all pan out. Yeah, it'll be curious. One of the things I didn't think about with the sector sergeant being responsible for all the beats is that he can bring continuity from shift to shift to shift.
Sure, absolutely.
Which you don't have when they're not all meeting. I happened to run into one of the 2412 people whose shift is not at the meetings, and she was actually saying that she missed
sure.
having the contact with the officers
sure.
from the other shifts.
Sure, because we have the 24th district, especially being a training district, it's the only training district in Area 3, which means we get brand new recruits out of school. And these young kids have basically been raised in the CAPS concept. They're trained in the academy extensively on CAPS philosophies. So, and they're very willing to go to meetings and talk to citizens, and a lot of them do miss it. It was amazing to see these officers who I knew for years start going to CAPS meetings, and this guy may have been a really quiet guy, really never said too much, and then he gets in a CAPS meeting, and you need a hook to get him off stage. I mean, but they want to share their knowledge, with the people that they're serving. So it's just a great thing.
And there is a lot to share. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
I still remember the story, too, when you were talking about technology, and this one officer who wouldn't come near a computer,
right,
all of a sudden got glued to all the mapping and stuff you can do on the...
and that was very early, and this was actually when Tom Byrne was the commander there. That was very early in inception, but, I mean, our technology has just expanded. We're probably, technologically the most advanced police department in the country,
There's a lot of great stuff, and not to mention we've got 5 new cameras in the area.
Yes, that's what I understand, and cameras are just a great thing, too. I mean, they're really helpful to us. We monitor the cameras from the district stations. They're at different stations, and we do what we call pod missions. We have officers in the area of the pods, and we have an officer monitoring it from the station, and we do missions on different hotspots. So the technology is just fantastic.
No, it's wonderful, and I certainly hope you get to nab some of the people. It's great to see 3 new cameras on Devon, and hopefully it'll. It's not so terrible there, but you know what? Hopefully it'll help to a certain extent.
I think it will.
That's for sure. At this point, we've already. I knew that we'd run out of time. This is almost 29 minutes. I want to thank very much Deputy Chief of Area 3,
my pleasure.
Bruce Rottner. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate. I want to thank my entire technical group, Sonny Hersh. Next week we've got President Todd Stroger, Scott Lee Cohn, and we've got Amy Zander. Really got to wrap it up, everybody. Thank you so much, and Bye-bye.